Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hi, welcome to Sex Vex. I'm Siddhant.
And I'm Dilnaz. And our topic for today is...
orgasms. Well, specifically, we're going to talk about the new knowledge or the new thoughts that we have about orgasms in today's world, in 2017, if you will.
The new conversations.
The new conversations.
I think the way we look at orgasms and sex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, there has been no change in how they view sex from when they first heard about it or learned about it, or when they first had it, really. And the point of this show is not just to tell you new things about stuff you didn't know, but it's about to tell you about new information about things you thought you knew about. But that's why we're going to discuss orgasms today.
And I don't think we normally cover, like even in a sex ed class or even, orgasms is not something that is spoken about because it's not used for reproduction, right? It's
not a biological function per se, but when you do grow up and you do learn more about sex and how it's pleasurable and things like that, this sort of thing has its own place. And some people have learned about it through various means. It might be from when they first, like I said, when they first had sex, or when they first read about it or saw it somewhere or the other. And there has not been any growth in that regard. And that's what we're here to address. So, Dilnaz, what have you got for us today?
The new stuff on orgasms?
Yeah.
Well, actually, honestly, when I was Googling orgasms,
sure,
and instead of more information, I just got like porn videos, and I was like, no, I don't want porn. I want to read more about it. Was really strange, I got a lot of porn videos when I just did an orgasm.
Type sex into the computer and you just got porn. Like, I can't
That's
believe
surprising.
it. I mean, who would have known that it's supposed to be not for pornography, this whole sex thing?
Well, yeah, but Sid.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I forgot. Now my train of thought is gone.
Okay, I'll tell you about something I learned about. How about that?
Yeah.
So, one of the reasons I wanted to do this particular topic is because I listened to this episode of one of my favorite podcasts. It's called Science Versus. The episode was called Science Versus the G-Spot. And I was like, okay, color me interested.
Okay.
What has science found out new that
About
I
the
can
G-spot?
learn about the G-spot? Mm-hmm. What is
so
this new?
It is not a myth. It is scientific.
But this is where it gets interesting. So they talked to somebody who had a lot of information about... Actually, the lady who really came up with the word G-spot, they spoke to her in that podcast.
Oh, so it's not like some ancient
No,
word,
it's from the
G-spot.
60s. It's from the 60s in America, apparently. And this lady who was a sex educator or a sex researcher, I'm not entirely
still
sure.
alive, right?
You have to listen. Yeah, she got interviewed right now.
Oh, okay.
So you'd have to listen to the podcast to get her exact title right and whatever. But she basically found this area in a woman's vagina that, if stimulated correctly, tends to have a very high success rate for orgasms. And it was dubbed the G-spot. There's a full scientific name for it, which now I don't quite recall. But a lot of people over the years have kind of disputed it, whether it was from a moral standpoint or from a scientific standpoint, because nothing really shows up consistently in this area across a large spectrum of women. You do find that a lot of women are more sensitive to this area, but there's no conclusive evidence that
a lot of women don't know where the G-spot is, and they spend their whole lives without being able to find the G-spot.
Right.
Either.
So we've heard varieties of what this magical spot is. Does it change for women, or is it that same place that you have to keep?
And is it different places for different women?
Or does it come about only when the certain conditions are fulfilled? She has to be like this, and then suddenly this will get sensitive. So there's lots of information
floating
around.
And it's not just for women. In fact, I read somewhere that even men have a G-spot.
Yeah.
It's approximately 2 inches inside the anus.
Yeah,
it's just that most men have hang-ups, right? Because inside the anus,
it's
it's
the prostate, basically. It's kind of, triggering the prostate early and things like that. That's still, people know that happens. But with this, the issue was, where is it? Why isn't this working out? So there was this one medical student at the time who decided, hey, none of my textbooks are showing me enough about the female sex organs in terms of pleasure, especially the clitoris. Because they had found out, like, okay, this is a clitoris, and through technology and imaging, they had found out that, wow, this has even more nerve endings than the head of the penis. You know, there's so much going on here. And that's why the
clitoris has more nerve endings than the tongue, than
it's the
teeth,
the most sensitive area in the human body. You know, across the sexes, across any way you look at it. So this lady went over like thousands and thousands of cadavers, hundreds of cadavers, I would say, and like cross-examined clitorises and how they would like be inside a woman's body. And she found that the G-spot was really just the clitoris's sort of nerves going deeper into the human body.
Into the vagina.
And above or near the vagina. So it would basically be those nerves which you would find on the clitoris going all the way down and getting really close to the walls of the vagina. And since they're so close that they basically touch, if you touch it through the vaginal wall, basically, like imagine if it's just like a t-shirt and you can touch your belly inside, but through the t-shirt. That's what it is.
Oh.
So you're literally touching
so it's
an extension of the clitoris.
Oh, okay.
So that's what the G-spot is, effectively. And that means, since these are nerve endings and they could go in any configuration.
And they could go as long or as short in different people,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So that means every woman probably has some part of her clitoris nerves sort of trailing over the vaginal wall. And if you find it, great.
One just needs to find it.
A G-spot orgasm is basically a deeper inside your body clitoral orgasm.
Interesting, Sid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
check
keep
out
this
that,
in mind.
check out that episode.
And now that I'm a trisexual.
Yeah. What does that even mean?
Well, I try everything in sex once.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first. Yeah.
I was
Amazing.
dying to say. And I was just choosing the perfect moment.
Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, clitoral orgasms. I mean,
it's the most common. The clitoral orgasm is it's compared to one can compare it to like a vanilla ice cream, right? It's not that it's bland or boring, but it's just the most easily available ice cream. Where do you go and you not get a vanilla ice cream?
I just want to say, I didn't say any of this. This came out from Dilnaz's mouth.
No, but the clitoral orgasm is the most common and easily doable orgasm.
Sure.
I mean, it's shorter, it's sharper, and it's easier than a vaginal orgasm.
And you know, everybody in a few attempts at this kind of figures it out. Whether you're a man or a woman, you know eventually that's going to be the thing. But like you said, what can be the other orgasms?
Well, there are lots of different types of orgasms.
Let's go through some of the female orgasms.
So there's the clitoral orgasm.
Like we've discussed.
Then there's the vaginal orgasm. So which basically means the G-spot finding and through penetration and having an orgasm there.
Yeah.
And then there is a blended orgasm.
Okay, that sounds like a
blended.
Coffee. But yeah. Why is it called a blended orgasm?
Which is actually a mix of a clitoral and a vaginal orgasm.
Well, how come that's not separate though?
No, so there's one. So in a blended orgasm, not only is the clitoris stimulated, but also the G-spot is hit. So it's like this double dhamaka, double maza, of course, double effort kind of thing also.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, people think that the normal missionary position is easier to get it because then the clitoris when there's penetration, at the same time the clitoris has also been
stimulated,
touched. But a lot of women think that being on top works because then they're in control. So they know exactly where to...
Figure out the intensity and things like that. Yeah.
Then there's that. Then I read something called corgasm.
What is this now?
An orgasm triggered by exercise. What? No, seriously. I was shocked. No, seriously.
Okay, go on.
Like if you're in the gym and you see this woman quiet all of a sudden and with these expressions, maybe she's just having an orgasm. And then there was
never going to the gym again.
No, but it's not one of those toe curling kind of orgasms. It's a very small, brief kind of orgasm. But and there was how do you achieve a orgasm?
Yeah, what is this? How do you trigger something like this?
There were steps. Okay, so step 1, need to get your heart rate up.
Okay.
Step 2, after some good cardio, it's time to work on the core. Step 3, exercises like hanging leg raises are the most beneficial for an exercise orgasm. So it starts in the lower abs, it seems, and then it goes deeper into the lady parts.
Are you sure this isn't some like exercise person trying to sell their exercise program?
Listen, I could have tried it, but then it said that one set of crunches is not going to do it. You have to like really tire yourself out, and I don't have so much patience.
Trisexual out the window there only.
So orgasm is out of the window for me.
Okay, great.
Then there's like the squirting orgasm, right? Like the female ejaculation squirting orgasm.
But then again, those are more triggered by, the clitoral stimulation and the vaginal stimulation,
it seems that that's achieved by, there's another spot in front of the vagina.
Okay.
And this area is intimately connected with the urethra.
Okay.
So, in fact, pressure on that spot also kind of presses your urethra, and possibility of peeing also happens.
So I've heard of this.
So that's why it needs to be done with someone who you really are comfortable with.
And can actually do that.
Yeah, and you're okay with, shit, I peed during sex, So that's the squirting orgasm.
Okay.
And there's something called an A-spot orgasm.
Okay, I think I know what that one is. That is, in fact,
anterior fornix.
So if you've read your G-spot textbooks, it's always the front wall of the vagina.
It's deeper into, it's some 5 inches into.
Yeah, so the G-spot is sort of shallower and below the pubic bone, whereas this one is deeper inside.
And it's the reason for multiple orgasms.
Okay, and it's reverse, right? It's on the other side. I think, we've lost each other in the directions chart. We've lost each other. But basically it's deeper inside, and it's stimulated through repeated
and even after you orgasm once, it doesn't become too sensitive, and hence you can have multiple orgasms using this A-spot orgasm, because it doesn't become super sensitive.
Okay, so
something like that. Then there's another spot.
That's the trick to sort of repeated orgasms.
Then there's a deep spot orgasm, which is the posterior fornix. And then it's even way deeper. And then there's a U-spot orgasm.
Okay. So guys, you don't have to bring out the map and sort of map out the areas and like aim for them, like,
But there's also a breast orgasm.
I think I'll just stop talking now. It's just going
some
off
women
the rails.
Some women have really sensitive nipples.
Okay.
So stimulating their nipples, there's a direct connection for women, feel erect between their clitoris and their nipples. So some women whose nipples are that sensitive can actually orgasm with nipple and breast stimulation.
I always thought that was just something somebody made up to make it sound cool to fondle boobs, but clearly
it's not.
It might not be a thing. So I've learned something here today. I can go home pretty happy now.
Who's home? Who's home?
I have a home, man. I can go home to that. It's fine.
Okay. And then there's also an oral orgasm, which is not just blowjobs and all.
Yeah.
But the orgasm that...
Or are you going to say kissing. Great kissing? Okay.
No, but really, anything related to the mouth. So kissing. And a woman can even get an orgasm by giving head. Yeah, I know that's every man's dream. But she can get an orgasm by giving head.
I'm just stunned here.
So that's an oral orgasm.
Okay, again, like I said, you don't have to play housey with this, huh? By the way, if you try 12 and you get nothing, it means you might be doing any of these wrong, or any of those don't work.
Yeah, don't get too technical about it. These
are just things that we found out. So
skin orgasm we have.
What?
So we say I've got the chills and those goosebumps are actually a mild orgasm that you either get by...
Are you sure you're not slicing this too thin now? Like
a sensual massage. It's like that feeling that you get, no?
Yeah,
and
but isn't that
just
you're just happy? Your body is like pleasure.
That's considered a part of an orgasm.
I see.
So it doesn't need to be
so
sex-related.
Does this apply to only women, or what are we doing
men have
here?
Different types of orgasms.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So there's the myth, right? There's a myth that a man has to... ejaculate to get an orgasm, but actually in the human male
that works most of the time.
No, but it's not true all the time.
Okay.
Human orgasm and ejaculation are actually two separate processes, and in fact they're controlled by two entirely different parts of the brain.
Yeah, that's one is by the
it just
spine,
happens.
right?
It just happens simultaneously. So one thinks that orgasm equals to ejaculation, and it's the same thing. But
okay, so how do we
you can
pass
have
this?
There can be a dry orgasm.
What is a dry orgasm?
That is without ejaculation.
Okay,
So you can actually get an orgasm.
So that's just the brain now telling you that this is amazing and here's an orgasm to make you feel amazing. But there's no ejaculation.
Yeah. Then there's the wet dreams, right?
Yeah.
Which is actually an ejaculation but no orgasm.
I see. Yeah.
So
because fun fact, apparently whenever men dream, they get hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but not necessarily orgasm.
No, they don't orgasm.
Yeah,
They don't have
so
to.
that's a
But
wet
it's
orgasm.
just part of it. Yeah.
In fact, when I was Urban Dictionary,
we moved straight into it. Okay,
no,
great.
but just this
Go,
wet
go.
dreams.
Do it.
It was damn funny. It was like, what happens when you ignore your penis for too long and it decides to plot revenge? So anyway, so there's the dry orgasm and the wet orgasm.
Nice.
Then
yeah.
in men, there are these prostrate orgasms, right?
Right. So yeah, the prostate gland.
And that also, there are of two types. So it seems if it's milked,
Okay.
then clear fluid is released.
I've
And
never
it's a
been milked
quick-
before. So
the prostrate gland.
Yeah.
And then there's a quick intense orgasm.
Okay.
And there's another one that if the prostrate contracts, the orgasm is less intense. It's not that deep.
Okay.
But it can last for an hour.
Whoa, okay.
Can you
I've
imagine?
never heard that one before.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read it. I was like, this sounds really like...
This sounds a bit science fiction. Yeah. Yeah.
But I read it.
But the body is so crazy, right? Anybody's body can be so different from anybody else's.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why this episode is happening, because you thought there was one way to this.
And you're not different. It's not strange. It's not abnormal. It's
Yeah.
not anything, it's completely fine, Orgasming for an hour. Can you imagine? Men get tired after like 1 orgasm.
Yeah. Well,
Imagine like a 1 hour.
it's a lot of work. So yeah.
So yeah, men don't have so many orgasms, but these are a few that
These
we
are the
have.
few. Yeah. Great. I mean,
orgasms are also, there are these drinks also which are called orgasms.
I've heard this before.
Hey Sid, do you want a screaming orgasm?
I guess I do now.
It's 1 shot of Bailey's Irish Cream, 1 shot Malibu coconut rum, garnished with a mochino cherry. That is the screaming orgasm I'm asking.
Fantastic. Yeah. That sounds like a good drink too.
But yeah, there's screaming orgasms, mutual orgasm, tropical orgasm.
Okay, so there's a whole
screaming multiple orgasm.
Somebody has gone through the trouble of making an entire catalogue of orgasm-based cocktails.
And it's not just drinks, dude. There's a makeup line named after orgasm. So I googled orgasm.
Of course you did.
And
you were surprised by all the porn you got. Yeah.
And then, it completed my sentence, orgasm NARS, N-A-R-S. And I was like, what is that? So it seems Sephora has this line of makeup, which is, so there's an orgasm blush.
Yeah.
And, it gives the cheeks a perfect pinky peach flush. And then there's some product called Deep Throat. Like there was a woman saying that, deep throat and orgasm always look good on me. And my skin varies a lot depending on how much sun I get.
How does she even make those two things into one sentence? Because they seem completely unrelated in some ways.
But I guess there must be one product called Deep Throat and there must be one product called Orgasm Blush or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I need to go to the makeup shop and I kind of need
Give
to
me
see all
an
of
orgasm and a deep throat, please. And it will be very, very bad.
It'll make your skin glow.
Wow.
But I guess that's how it came up, right? The orgasm blush, it seems it makes your cheeks look flushed like they would look after you just had sex.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about this sort of post-coital glow that people have, that if you've got some, you tend to...
So you want to get that glow artificially without the coitus? Then
Clearly,
this is what you do.
this is what you require, yeah.
In fact, there was a whole story of this girl. She heard of this from her friends, right?
Yeah,
Orgasm blush. And so she asked her mom, she said, no, you will, only if you say the word, will I buy it for you. And then she felt all shy and didn't. So then once she went with her dad, and dad being dad had no idea. Come baby, I'll take you shopping, beta.
Yeah.
And so she picked up this and slipped it in, and dad bought it. And then she tried it out. And she's like, I tried it out in my teenage years and I never got any boyfriend. I never got any action on me. Because all men got intimidated. Maybe they thought that I kept having sex and that's why I constantly had this blush.
It's just amazing how literally every story kind of tends to sound the same. Like I tried this one thing which I thought would work and that would make sex, and I didn't get the sex that I wanted to make. Like,
and anyway, then she had a boyfriend, and
Okay.
then she was out on this mission to prove it. I want to see, is the color actually matching with,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
color that my cheeks flush. So once she took pictures, she wore the same basic foundation on her face and wore this blush orgasm.
Okay.
And clicked a picture. Then she went home one afternoon and had sex with her boyfriend. And as soon as it finished, instead of saying anything romantic, she's like, quick, take a picture. And then she compared and she said, no. The glow that I got with the makeup product was much better than the glow that I got.
I don't
with
know
sex.
whether to laugh or cry at this story. It's
Well,
fantastic.
listen, women did that and all.
It's
yeah?
fantastic.
They took pictures and compared and all of that.
I like how curious she is about this, but I don't know what she wanted to really achieve.
Just check it out.
Just check it out. See
Yeah.
if my lipstick
matches.
makes sense or my blush makes...
Blush.
my blush is not lying to me. Well,
So, yeah.
that's pretty incredible. Anyway, I think we're going to talk more about this subject with our guest who's going to join us after this break.
Every film has a hero, heroine, villain, and songs. But what makes a film truly memorable are those great characters like Pappu Pejha, Gabbar Singh, Mogambo, Calendar, and several others like that. Join me every week as I sit down to talk to brilliant actors who have played some of the most memorable characters in Indian film history. This is Bollywood Scene Stealers. Tune into a new episode every Monday on iTunes, SoundCloud, Audioboom, the IVM podcast app, or any other podcast apps you like.
Hello and welcome back. And today we have with us Gauravi Lobo. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Gauravi is an expert.
I wouldn't say that.
No,
But
well,
sure.
she's taken a lot of workshops on sex education. Her background is sex ed and gender, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically it.
So lovely to have you with us, Gauravi.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we should just dive right into it.
Dive into the orgasms.
Dive into the orgasm.
I
That's
think-
what all
I
men
think-
do, and
I
that's
think-
not always fun for us. You just dive right
And
into
already I'm on the back foot. No surprise.
Two women.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I was just gonna say,
Orgasm.
be prepared.
It's okay. I'm a very patient person. So it's all good. So let's go. What do we have? What do we have in the department of orgasms?
Let's start with the history of orgasms for women.
Sure.
Did you know that orgasms in women used to be considered a disorder, like hysteria?
So when did this? Where did this start from?
I don't know, like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, or like the medieval times,
Okay.
maybe.
So when history was first recorded, it was automatically
yeah,
a
it
bad
was
thing.
basically. So I think this was around the Victorian time when it was decided that. I suppose because the way you react in an orgasm is similar to the way you react in a seizure. Or,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're kind of
or like a
flopping
stroke
around.
or something.
Or like
yeah.
in
Stroke.
India, they say Devi aa gayi, Mata aa
Devi
gayi.
again, Mata aa gayi. And you're also kind of, you're not allowed, female pleasure is just, I mean, it's still such a big thing. You know, we have, in India, we still have people crying about the fact that, we shouldn't have movies showing women. But
Yeah.
it was considered to be a disorder that women had to be cured of.
Okay.
Which is just
And out
ghastly.
of curiosity, how were they cured of this disorder?
I'm not sure. I think I'm not sure, but there are like all these reports that say you had medication or you just isolated them or like all sorts of everything from ECT to just electroconvulsive therapy.
Yeah,
to
I knew they
literally to-
put wires into
But
people at some
absolutely
point. Yeah,
anything, you know.
yeah.
The point was that woman is crazy and that she needs help and frankly, I think the attitude still has trickled down. I don't think
Sure.
it's completely gone away.
I think so for sure.
Yeah, it is still very male centric. Like I was
very
just telling Sid, like even now in films when there's a sex scene, once the man orgasms, the sex scene is only over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the
Like,
end of sex
is the man
man's
orgasming and that's
orgasm.
it.
Yeah.
And that's it, yeah.
You know, so it's still very.
Do you think, as a guy, think that an orgasm is the... I don't know, like, do you think that that's it? That's sex?
No, because the sex is not me.
But say
So-
it's just you. For you, is sex just about the orgasm?
Not at all.
No,
not for
right?
me at all. Yeah,
So
but
why-
then not everyone is me, or other people also have the extreme opposite point. A lot of people disagree with them as well. it's just the same thing. You can't
True.
generalize something like this. I think a lot of men probably get more pleasure out of pleasuring than
More
you'd think.
pleasure out of pleasure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where are these men? Why are there not more men like that?
Yeah, that's the problem though. And I think the other thing is even the men that if they wanted to know more, I think a lot of people still are stigmatized on both sides.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the narrative is still very much, I mean, it's male-centric, but it's also harmful for men. It's not, because if you don't have an orgasm, then you haven't really properly, you've done something wrong for both parties, especially for men.
Exactly. Because then it's just like, oh, something's broken.
Something's broken.
You're not a man. Yeah. Something is wrong with you, you know. So, I mean, I personally have had great sex which didn't result in an orgasm.
Exactly.
Also.
More men need to say this, that you can have great sex.
Yeah, of course you can. And the other thing is, it's always about the setting as well. I think from my understanding and from speaking to other people, other men especially, when you're with somebody long term and then the relationship builds and there's more sex, there are more instances like this and everyone's just fine with it. You know, everyone being the two of you, that's all that counts anyway.
That's all that counts.
But when it's super casual and it just happens and you know, you're not going to see somebody the next time ever again.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want about it also, but it was probably rubbish, is basically what I've, from my understanding of this entire thing. And usually nobody orgasms in that. And then it's just like, oh wow, look, I got to do this the other night, so hooray for me. You know, it's nothing really to write home about, but everyone makes a big deal out of it. Like, oh, I got some. Come on.
Is it easier for men to orgasm than women to orgasm?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Like men orgasm faster.
Biologically, so men orgasm faster. Their orgasm is shorter. Women's orgasms last longer. It's much more drawn out. Women's orgasms last like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, even up to a minute. But men's are a lot faster.
It's instantaneous, pretty much.
It's instantaneous. Yeah. And the whole, I suppose the reasoning is, the orgasm in males or in human men has a very, very direct biological function, right? An orgasm in a woman doesn't necessarily have a direct biological...
It's purely for pleasure.
It's purely for pleasure, and it's something that's also, a lot of studies argue that it's something that's evolved through society. I mean, a woman needs to be lubricated and wet from a biological perspective, but she doesn't necessarily need to have a release or an orgasm for pregnancy or reproduction.
But that's a really interesting point in the sense that it's got some sort of imperative, but that's not that important anymore.
No,
for a lot of most sexual settings, like most people having sex at this very minute, only like a few percentage of them would be trying to conceive at this point.
Absolutely.
Almost everybody else is having it for pleasure.
Yeah.
So then, with this large volume of people in mind, what is the new, like I wouldn't say techniques, but what is the new information that we've learned about orgasms over the last, 4 or 5 years that should be able to change people's lives, you know?
I think one of the big things that we're learning about orgasms is it's really important that we understand that orgasms in women and orgasms in men are vastly, vastly different. I don't think we ever addressed orgasms in women as a separate thing at all.
No, and if we do, it's stuff like, oh, make her feel comfortable, light a candle.
Right.
But yeah, that's cool, but that's like talking about the tablecloth at dinner.
Right.
You know, you still have to make dinner, guy. You know. So what do you do for? I'm sure. I mean, I don't think you've done any one-to-one therapy, have you? I don't know.
I'm not a therapist.
But when you do this in a workshop setting, how do you approach the topic?
So I think that for me personally, my focus is very women-centric because my background is also gender. But for me personally, I think it's very important that women understand and feel, and men understand and know that a woman's orgasm is not... it's not easy to get to a lot of women don't experience orgasms and they still have really, really great sex. There's a lot of pressure on women that the orgasm is this magical moment of release, and when you feel it, you read all these silly Mills and Boons and this whole volcanic eruption.
All that lovely imagery
orgasms
from every Bollywood movie ever.
Orgasms do not feel the same for all women, because just principally because biologically there's no one thing that you can measure as a female orgasm. Like you put a woman into like a PET scan while she's orgasming. Yes, you'll see centers of her brain light up, but it's not uniform, standardized, you know? And I think that is the most important thing, that there's a lot of insecurity that women feel, that my orgasm wasn't big enough, my orgasm is too big, I'm too loud, I'm too wet.
Sure.
With female ejaculation, there's a lot of fear that, something's wrong with me, or I'm enjoying it too much, I'm a whore, or it's the other side of it, I'm just not orgasming.
Yeah.
Actually, you're enjoying sex, but I'm not orgasming and there's something wrong with me. I have to fake it. I have to make him feel like he's done a good job. I think that is the most important thing that we're just starting to talk about.
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to key in on myself. It's that, I think a lot of people have begun to accept that both parties orgasming is the new goal. But apart from a woman in this situation not finding the orgasm or not getting there, and she might be totally cool with it, you also have the man feeling like frustrated here.
Exactly.
So what are we finding out about these guys now?
So I think that's exactly the problem, though, that the orgasm isn't the goal of sex.
Right, but that's the problem with the mindset of men at this point.
Exactly. So that's what needs to change. Orgasm isn't the goal for you or for me. Like, orgasm is a great byproduct of sex. Sex is the goal of sex, Sex can be drawn out, sex can be intimate, sex can be personal, and that is so much fun. But we focus so much on the orgasm that you almost don't even enjoy the orgasm sometimes when it comes to it. So much pressure.
You sometimes, I've heard a couple of guys go, oh yeah, it was great, she did this, and then she came twice and it was the best, and we all buy into that as men. Like, we're like, oh, cool, that's, you've done a good job there.
It's like a scorecard, right? Orgasms are like a scorecard.
But then that's kind of how we've always been operating with this. So what would you say is the change in this that you would like to see? Let's put it that way.
The main change I would like to see is that you treat the orgasm as a really fun part of it, and I think it's absolutely important. It's a fun aim to have, to get to, don't disregard the orgasm, but also your sex can be so successful without the orgasm. And I think another really important thing is what we were talking about earlier. What's it called? Edging.
Yeah, edging.
I think that is a really cool new thing that people are learning.
I don't know what is edging.
So edging is basically when you bring yourself to the brink of orgasm, and then you release, and then you stop for a bit, and then you go again. So you climb the mountain, but you don't get to the peak, then you come back down again, and then you climb back up again.
And then when you have your final orgasm, it's much stronger.
It's much stronger.
And that, what I found out very recently is... for a while, in the last couple of years, it's almost always been sort of a female-centric concept for a woman's orgasm. But edging has a lot of effect on men as well.
Okay. And so it's not like the man will lose it if you take him to the brink and then you don't.
Again, there's no...
Or that term of blue balls. No,
yeah. No, it's kind of correct. It's kind of correct. But again, it's just some people are into it. And we just didn't know that before. Some people like being withheld for a bit, and then suddenly it's even more stronger.
It's more because you're building. And I think particularly for women, because the way a woman's orgasm, the way a woman's nerve endings and everything, way a woman's body is designed, it works better for women.
For sure.
100%. In the sense that it works really, really well for women. And on average, some men will enjoy it, some men might not.
Sure.
But I think on average, most women would enjoy that, because that's naturally how sex happens for women anyway. Before we give it a term,
Yeah. I simplistically liken it to the warm-up before a game, if you want peak performance, you got to be ready. So edging in a way is kind of like that. You get
edging is the new word, the
It's
key
the new
word
word,
for
yeah.
today.
I like how you're holding up 2 fingers.
two fingers, two fingers for edging.
2 fingers for edging.
Let's hope you know what to do with them. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually exactly it. That's one of the things that we were talking about. And is there anything else that you've seen that contributes to? I think it's what we're not looking for is better sex. I think we're looking at better understanding
Of
sex.
Yeah.
Because expectations are not managed enough, and I think that's important.
I think one thing that's really interesting is that most women report that they will come to orgasm more on their own than they would with a partner.
Okay.
And I think partially it's simply because penetrative sex is not the best way to get to orgasm. That's fairly well established with a lot of studies.
Yeah.
Women need more stimulation, more targeted stimulation. You have the whole myth of the G-spot, the mystery of the G-spot.
Yeah.
But it's not just penetration. And of course it's different. A lot of women achieve orgasm through just penetration.
Yeah.
For me personally, what I find is that one of the other reasons, one is biologically, basically the way your body is designed, penetration, But the other reason that women can't achieve orgasm with men or with a partner as easily as they can on their own is because a lot of women feel like that moment of orgasm, it's a massive release where your brain is also kind of off
Shut down in a way,
and it's
yeah.
longer in women.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
you, it's for men, it's a couple of seconds, but
Yeah.
for women, it's a much longer span of time. And I think it's a huge amount of vulnerability in those couple of seconds. It's not a couple of 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You think it's not much, but it's a long time to be that out of your body, And I think that's also a big problem or a benefit. I'm not sure what to call it, but it's such a feeling of release outside of your body. It's also you're so vulnerable, so it's so much easier to feel that drawn out vulnerability when you're on your own. Or then when you're with a partner that you super duper trust. And then I think that whole narrative of, you're truly in love and all that.
But you don't have to be, huh?
You don't have to be at all.
Yeah.
It's about being comfortable with your body.
Just be some random person that's done all this, and now you're even more stuck because how are we going to do this again?
You're not allowed to feel that. A lot of women feel a lot of shame and guilt feeling orgasms around a partner that they're not in love with.
And this is something you've come across
in
frequently.
a lot of conversations it comes out.
In what situations do these arise to you?
I think the most common thing is you feel that it's very hard to explain. I mean, even physically in an orgasm, you're literally lying there exposed, for a woman.
Yeah.
And then you're in this out of body experience sort of feeling.
Sure.
And then obviously you have this, you're told constantly that sense of vulnerability you should only be giving away or feeling around someone you truly love or truly trust.
Yeah,
and we
it's a very
disconnect.
cloying narrative. That's
It
sort
is
of
society and the way we've been brought up,
The way
right? Or
we've
we've
been
been
brought up.
controlled to think like that.
No, but it also fits so nicely into the story, right? That's the whole point here. It's like it seems so like oh, now if you're vulnerable, then if you were around somebody who wasn't going to take advantage of you, then wow, it worked out, right?
But it's complete rubbish.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be like that.
It's about your
Yeah.
body, and I think that's the most important part. Women need to really understand, be okay with their body's pleasure, be okay with feeling that vulnerability for themselves. That vulnerability doesn't belong to whoever you're with.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. I think that is the conversation that needs to be had, that it's okay to feel that vulnerability just for pleasure. It's not I'm calling it vulnerability, but it's not actually. It's pleasure. It's 20-30 seconds of pleasure that makes you feel
power, actually.
It's power. Yeah.
Like I think more than vulnerable, I think it's a sense of power that this is what I can do, this is what I can achieve, and this is the way I can feel.
This is my body. My body can make me feel this. Yeah, I think so. I think that's really important.
And I think it's the mindsets. Like I was at a shoot a couple of days back, and I was talking to this co-actress about, I was like, this is our show, and we are doing orgasms, and she just opened up, and she was like, the first time I had an orgasm, I started crying. And I was like, why? She's like, because, and it's not just me. She's like, young little girl, not I mean, whatever, you know,
Way
that
to
young
frame that well, yeah.
that young girl. And she was like, even my friends feel that because we've been told that it's something dirty.
Yeah.
We've been told that it's not
And it's pretty intense, huh?
Yeah, and she's
It
like,
is.
it's not dirty, it was beautiful, and you know, the way I felt. And but because I've been, you know, in that mindset, I've been told this is what it is. You have to, as you said, only with someone whom you love, and only with someone whom you're going, you know. So she's
if
like,
you get it any other way, that's on you.
That's
she's
on
like,
you.
now I
Something
realize
wrong with
that
you.
it's beautiful, and why should I not?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I think that crying thing is also interesting because I've met a couple of women who cry, or like they have really, their legs tremor, their whole body kind of tremors a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that is really interesting too, because that is also something that your partner's not used to, even you're confused about.
That's the thing. I think it always comes back to, now you know, or now we've both found out that this is what happens. How do we make use of this? Or how do we co-opt this? Or how do we just like enjoy this? Because it's, again, if that's how you are when the orgasm takes place, whether you're a man or a woman, and somebody is experiencing it with you, you gotta make it fun, or you gotta make it like
Something
acceptable.
good.
And this is
Positive.
you know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure a
Positive.
couple of men must be freaking out. Yeah, they
Yeah,
must be
exactly.
seeing them.
Oh my- it's-
woman
what
crying,
did I
"Have
do?"
Yeah, what
I
did I do
mean, that
something
could have
wrong?
just been how
You
this
know?
whole thing started in the damn first
Yeah, that's
place. Where,
true.
like, look,
She's
she's
shaking
stammering.
and
We can't
crying.
make this happen. We can't make this happen again. If there's if something bad happens, it'll be my fault. You know, or you know,
I did this to my poor wife.
Yeah, who knows, man? Some people just think in all kinds of ways, and it could have all just been solved by a 1 minute conversation.
But I've heard this with men too, you know, very rarely, because men aren't allowed to feel all that, but
Yeah.
I've heard this with men too, where they feel like that moment of vulnerability, not exactly tears, but just that sense of, it's much shorter, but even
Yeah.
men aren't allowed. You're supposed to feel like a cowboy in that
yeah,
moment.
but then I find this hilarious, but I don't think like it's usually just some kind of grunt or something like that. Oh, okay, it's done. You know that you can like literally do what you want, guys. You know,
Yeah, why is moaning only amongst women?
Yeah, that's true.
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is when it happens, especially because the rest of it, fine, whatever. But when the orgasm happens, there's so many people. The guys also have shaky legs, or they flop over, or they like, you know, throw their heads back, or like, you know, everyone has it, but it's so subdued in men a lot. Like any way you look at
But
it,
it's like
just like
men don't cry. No, again, it's
no,
the
but it's
mindset.
not even crying.
And again,
It's not even crying.
No,
It's
I'm
like
not saying-
flipping out. Even that doesn't happen. There's no excessive joy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't be
Because
that happy about
they
coming.
always
Come on, you come
control.
all the time.
Because
Like, you know?
excessive emotions in men are apparently a bad thing.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
in this setting, right?
any
Because
setting.
now, oh wow, look,
Ladke
doing all
rote,
this
You can't let
shit.
you throw
Yeah.
your guard, and you can't, you know.
Yeah,
Men
yeah.
are professional and
Yeah.
you know,
Just
staid.
one grunt will do, sir. We're done here. Thanks.
For sure, yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think again, communication when these things happen, always key.
And being
It's-
comfortable with your body
Yeah.
and like what your body is telling you.
And I think not to put so much stress on. I think we give it so much importance. Orgasm. It's
Yeah.
important because
It is,
obviously
yeah.
we need to break the myth what was having in the like
I
in
mean,
those ages
if you look at
earlier.
it, like not too long ago, it was not important for women to have an
Yeah,
orgasm,
so
and now we're at least
and
accepting
then it became an extreme
Now it
where it
became
was-
super important for
So
some
I think
people.
just that middle line where it's great if you have it, but it's okay if you
It's not a
don't.
big
You
deal
know,
if
don't
you
kill
don't.
yourself over it.
Enjoy
Or don't.
Yeah.
sex. Just enjoy the sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
But it's nice to orgasm.
It's nice to orgasm. Great. I mean, I think that's a wrap. So it's been a pretty good discussion about orgasms. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming,
really,
Gauravi.
Thank you for
Thanks a
having me.
lot.
This was really fun.
Yeah, excellent. Where can people find you or workshops or any of the stuff that you're up
Right now, I'm not running workshops presently.
to? Okay.
So-
But, you know, if we see something that she's up to, you can find our social media and we'll put something
Yes,
up there
you
so
can
you
do
can
that.
you can go catch her there. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Naveen Narona, and as a gay person in India, I get asked a lot of stupid questions.
Beta, is it LGBT or eligibility?
How do two men procreate?
Bro, is Grindr better than Tinder or what?
We answer all these questions and much more on my podcast, Keeping It Queer, where I talk to individuals from the LGBT community in India and learn about their personal stories. Catch new episodes of Keeping It Queer every Monday on Audioboom, iTunes Global, SoundCloud, YouTube, or generally any of the podcasting apps. In fact, you can now download the IVM podcast app and listen to it. Happy listening.
And that was our show. So thank you so much for listening to Sex Vex. This is the last episode of our season. We hope to come back very soon.
With a bigger bang.
Yeah, with it'll be even better for sure. Dilnaz is going to be here with her Urban Dictionary and her stories and all the wonderful things she puts into Google.
I haven't done voices in such a long while, Sid.
Unleash some of them right now.
No.
Tell us about what was the one you did with the puja voice?
Who puja?
Okay, leave puja alone. Anyway, the point is, you know what? You should listen to some of our older episodes. We've tackled things from...
A lot of things,
We started from first dates, where you always start.
Yeah. To PDA.
Yeah, public displays of affection. We've covered abstinence. We've covered sexual wellness. Yeah, sex toys, where to get them.
Yeah.
And other products too.
Sex and disability.
Sex and disability was just the episode before this one. And it's a really interesting listen. And we would love to hear more from you, our lovely listener.
Any topics that you want us to cover, we are here to cover them for you.
Yeah. So reach out to us on Facebook, on the IVM Podcast Facebook page. Comment on any of our posts. Write in. Tell us what you'd love to hear about. If you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear them.
Twitter.
Yeah, all of them. Facebook, Twitter.
We are easily available. I mean,
the show is
easily available.
Yeah. But we've had so much fun bringing this to you, and we hope to see you again soon.
Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcasts, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcast galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.